Hello there. Welcome back to Xpanded Universe. I'm Michael Allen Lake. I've got a lot of experience in comics.
And I am Mairead Blue, and I have only a month's worth of experience in comics, so I'm the novice.
We like to call her the novice. And this is our review of Lanterns, Season 1, Episode 2, Trustfall. Now, one thing I do want to say really quickly is that if any of you saw our review of Episode 1, there was something that I was hoping would happen. And it kind of sort of, almost kind of sort of did happen. It did,
yes.
well, at least enough of a reference.
Not in its entirety, but there was a reference, yes.
We're going to get to that a little bit later.
And he was very excited. Sorry.
So let's talk about Lanterns and what all happened in this week's episode. Specifically, what is up with that town?
There is something going on. Although there's something going on with the town, but I'm quite happy they addressed that fact, where they acknowledge, yes, this town has an issue. I don't want to use different terms, but yes, there's something going on with the town.
It's not just the fact that it's a small town, we do things our way. There is something else. I mean, for instance, all the stuff in the hospital. We have all this incredible equipment, and it hasn't even been unpacked.
Well, and see, this is where you and I are kind of jumping around right now, but I think the sheriff knows more than she lets on to know, because every time Hal asks her about how all of the hospital equipment looks like, it's just been unpacked, but not unpacked from the entire bags. It's all still covered in plastic. Imagine getting an Amazon delivery and you've opened the box, but you haven't actually unpackaged the item that you ordered. That's what this hospital equipment looks like. And she just brushes it off. And Hal actually asks her more than one time, hey, yeah, but I mean, yeah, it's a small town, but still, where are the patients? Where are the people? Actually, where's the staff? Because there wasn't really any staff. So there's a lot going on in this small town, and I think this is also, and I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but when you think about shows that grow in popularity because there are underlying mysteries that get pointed out as the episode moves on, that's what you're going to find, because there's so many people in Rushville who have secrets.
Now, since you brought that up, I have to say that, I know everybody sort of says this, don't be like Lost. Especially because Damon Lindelof, who worked on Lost, is also working on Lanterns. Lost took too much time to explore that. But you're right, I like the fact that it is a mystery. It's a season. We're kind of unpacking it. I almost made a joke when you're talking about the Amazon thing is a great comparison, but I almost went worst unboxing video ever.
Because it's hospital equipment.
Exactly. It's not unboxing stuff about anything. But yeah, there's so much going on. And since we're talking about Kerry and the sheriff, one thing, both a revelation that we found out in this episode, and also something that several other people are saying online that is not true. So her name is Kerry Kaine. She's the sheriff. There have been several people online going, well, it's an homage to Batman creator Bob Kane. No, it's not. Gil Kane was one of the co-creators of Hal Jordan, one of the people that really sort of revitalized the Silver Age Green Lantern. Not only helped create him, but also then he came back another time, and his art style evolved and really, really kind of made it really kind of cool and pop off the page. Not going to go too much on that fanboy thing. So it's a reference to Gil Kane. Now, having said that, perhaps I should not have been so forceful, because she admits this episode she is from Gotham.
She does, yes.
But
also, my interruption, I love that you fanboy, because I'm so new to this, I can't even fangirl because I'm still learning. But I love that you fanboy.
I make it up for us. Somebody's got to do it, so it's my thing. Because Kane actually is a well-known name in Gotham, even to the point that the Batman's mother is a Kane, and Batwoman is Kathy Kane. So Kane's been around in the Batman mythos and all sorts. However, having said that, there's a lot of people in the world. How many billions of people in the world, and only a limited number of names? Just because she's a Kane from Gotham does not mean she's related to Batman. Sure. Could be red herring, could be not. But more importantly, I truly believe she's named after Gil Kane, not after Bob Kane, not after Kathy Kane. Now, having said that, James Gunn likes to have a nice interconnected universe. We're also going to find out that, no, she's actually Batwoman's second niece on her mother's side, and, or something like that.
Well, that would make her pretty tough, so...
I explain. The one thing I will say about her that, and so clearly we got the three different timelines running we've seen so far in the show: yes. 2006, 2016, 2026.
Yes.
From the 2026 I can't recall it a flash forward because they're in 2026, but the end of episode 1, we know she's still around.
Yes.
And we know she had a good relationship with John. So I guess I can put it this way. I think if she's not a good guy now, she eventually becomes a good guy. Or maybe I should say she's more of an anti-hero, potentially. Either an anti-hero or a good guy. She's not necessarily our enemy yet.
I think she's torn. Which I'm not sure if that makes her an anti-hero. It doesn't make her a hero until she chooses her direction. So I think she right now, especially given the person to whom she's married, right? So she's trying to figure out, and a lot of this episode, she talks about jurisdiction. She keeps telling Hal, this is not your jurisdiction, it's my jurisdiction. Let me do this. But as the episode goes further, you understand that really she knows she's dealing with aliens.
Yeah.
And I think on some level she's trying to keep him out, because if he figures out what's going on, then a whole bunch of her world is going, if not to disappear, is really going to fold in, and then there's going to be a battle, which maybe that's what the show is leading up to. I truly don't know, but there's chaos will ensue.
But I could definitely see that too, because if you're trying to keep Hal away, she realizes the more you get involved, not only will my world potentially fall apart, but the people that I know, that's the bad people, once they're exposed, maybe they'll attack you type of stuff. She might be... That could be why she's such a dick to Hal.
Well, but also...
don't get me wrong. Hal deserves to be... You deserve to treat Hal like a dick based on the way he is in the way he is in the
because he
show.
behaves terribly.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, there are no apologies for his
But she's
behavior.
definitely going out of her way to sort of sideline it.
Well, I also think, too, they try to, in the show, or in this episode, they try to set up a sense of maybe she likes him, right? Maybe there could be a romantic involvement. Again, I have no insight into the other episodes. She's not stupid. I think she's trying to get a better sense of him so she can figure out how to keep him away from what she's trying to protect. But I think at some point she's going to, at some point in the series, she's going to realize that what she's trying to protect is not the right thing to protect.
Oh, I like that. What she's trying to protect is not the right thing to protect.
Right.
I like that. See, I also wonder too with her case, with her marriage or family, because the way halfway through the first episode when she talked about Billy Macon and such, I assumed they were estranged. And they can realize no, they're still married. They're still living together. Yeah. So I would love to know in her mind, like, is she married? I'm just married because my son Noah is here and I'm trying to protect Noah. Does she truly believe she belongs as a part of that family? I mean, they haven't teased enough that yet for us to know for sure. But I find that kind of fascinating. And speaking of that family, you and I both speculated about Zoe.
Yes.
The mom. So do you want to...
Well, give context about Manhunters.
Okay, so...
But it's not fair to talk about Zoe before we talk about Manhunters.
Right, and Manhunters in the comics may be slightly different than the Manhunters we see in Lanterns. But originally, they were the first army, the first peacekeeping force, policing force, whatever you want to call them, that the Guardians put together. They were a group of synthetic beings, robots, synthezoids, so again, sort of take your pick. And they were driven by logic to try to enforce justice. Their big classic slogan was, "No man escapes the Manhunters." Mm-hmm. And in comics lore, and as teased by this episode, it sounds like in Lanterns lore as well, they took their job a little bit too well. They took it to the extreme, and they wound up slaughtering entire planets and civilizations and all sorts of things.
Sector 666.
Sector 666 in the comics. Mm-hmm. In this version, as we found out this episode, apparently some Manhunter was taken away by a Green Lantern and put somewhere, whether like as a, are they the last of the Manhunters, therefore they're trying to keep them alive? Is it something that the Guardians have a secret shame over? Is there a relationship? Are Manhunters still active and working? That's left just ambiguous enough, but it's implied that they may be the people that I forget the name of the senior Macon guy, the one played by Garrett Dillahunt.
I know who you're talking about. I forget his first name.
Maybe he's the one. Maybe the Manhunters are the one that are funding the compound, that have them sign the NDA and all sorts of stuff. Right. And there's definitely an interesting vibe between Zoe and her husband and everybody else. So, is she perhaps the Manhunter? Is that why she's so fascinated with John? Well,
I think what's interesting too is they make it very clear very quickly that the senior Macon, the one married to Zoe, is not the Manhunter.
Yes, he definitely is not. So like, they're like, no red herrings here. He's doing this stuff.
Right, and so. But he will not give up who owns the technology, who provided the technology, and Zoe randomly shows up in Hal's life. But interesting and more vulnerable times.
In Hal's life or in John's life?
Oh, sorry. You're right. John's life. I apologize. Yeah. Yes, John's life. But it is in the more vulnerable times. And so you wonder, is she trying to get into his psyche in a way that she can then understand how big of a threat he actually is to her operations?
It seems like this basic threat assessment of going in, trying to understand, is he okay? What's going on? Yeah. He's just a trainee, blah, blah. Well, he's just a trainee. As was evidenced when he was kidnapped by that alien group and they comment on it, he has an ability that most Green Lanterns do not have.
Yes.
Which is to generate these constructs. And it's the same. Yes, it didn't happen until he first put on the ring, but he took the ring off. Normally how it happens when you take the ring off, your construct disappears. This thing not only didn't disappear, but traveled all the way to California and back with him.
Right. Which you should have heard Michael throughout the entire show. He kept saying, how'd the bird get on the plane? No, he really did.
Yes, these are things to worry about.
Michael was truly concerned about how the bird got on the plane.
Because, the bird can't fly next to the plane. It can't go up that high, whatever. How did it get there? Was it hiding in the luggage? Did it just, fly on and was I'm going to hang out in the galley?
Suspension of disbelief, my friend.
You're right, because the thing that didn't bother me was the fact that apparently John got to California and back in almost very little time. And Nebraska and California are half a continent apart. That didn't bother me.
But the bird very much bothered you.
Yes. Well, I should say maybe intrigued me. It wasn't I'm never going to watch this again. They've broken the rules as much as what is this?
No, but you
on?
literally made at least 3 comments about it during the show. It was pretty funny.
And the funny thing is, I'm not a bird person in normal life.
That's true. He does not own any birds.
But also, it wasn't just me who's watching this because, and we're gonna, I can't share it now, but we're gonna drop this in. Ray, the Xpanded Universe culture critic, was also intentionally watching the show. Sometime right about now, I'm gonna drop an image on the screen of him sitting there.
Ray is a dog.
Watching Hal Jordan.
Again, to remind the audience, Ray is his dog.
Well, I thought I was gonna sneak up when they saw the picture, but yes, he is. So.
Yes.
And also the informal culture critic of Xpanded Universe. But he was fascinated by this whole thing.
He did get engaged.
Yeah, so he did that. But you also, so you understand my fascination with the bird, but there's something that you really enjoyed about the bird,
so
too.
One of the things I thought was really great, because, I've watched a lot of movies, and they have animals in them, pets in them, and they'll use I'm going to call it a death. This wasn't really a death. This is why I thought it was so great. They'll use any harm to an animal as a way to evoke emotion. I think sometimes that is relevant to the story. Other times it's really not. And what I liked is when John Stewart put the bird away. It really, and he said, I forget the exact line, but he basically said, no, it's just the power.
Right. He just sort of,
he just collapsed it. But there was no sense of the bird dying or not being able to be resurrected when John was ready for him to come back. I think it really was part of what the ring does, and you manifest what you want to manifest at the time, but you understand this is a manifestation of the ring. It's not a live animal. But I thought they did that really, because they didn't. My point is, they didn't use that as a way to play on the audience's emotions, which I thought was great, because so many times animals are used to play on the emotion without actually facilitating a storyline.
Right, I frankly thought in the scene where he's captured by the aliens, I thought the Paul Ben Victor character, he's talking about the bird, was going to grab the bird and do the equivalent of snapping its neck or squish or something. Right. And I really was anticipating that. And I credit the writers, they're like, nope, you thought this. Right. We're going a different direction.
So I thought they handled that really well, and in a way that it's become too much of a trope in my mind that plays on human viewer emotions that I'm happy they didn't do.
So while we're on the subject of sort of animals, plants, stuff like that, what did you think of Earl? And what and before the reveal, what did you think Earl was going to be? Did you have any guess?
I thought Earl was going to be a dog. I did everything up like that. Now, listen, I've read Greek mythology, so I was ready for a 3-headed dog. I was ready for an abnormal dog. That's fine.
An alien space dog.
And especially because the food containers all contain beef, right? So I thought, oh, okay, well, it'll be a big dog or something. No, It's a plant. It's literally the. Okay, tell me, this is Marvel.
DC.
It is. Oh, I got it wrong. Sorry, DC.
We did say she was a novice, right?
I am a novice.
Because anybody can draw. I love this stuff. Novice, expert, whatever. You can still love this.
So, to me, it felt like DC's version of Little Shop of Horrors. No, it really did.
I totally get that.
That was my first thought when I saw it. I mean, I was also happy that John Stewart didn't have his hand bitten off or anything.
That's right. You could be like, "Ow! Oh, guess you really like blood." You know, you could. That would have been too much of a trope or like that.
Yes.
You know?
He fed Earl. I mean, I thought that whole visit to Hal's place was a good comic relief. I think.
Comic relief because it also can play the expectations about him having that large house, all sorts of stuff, and of course, as I said at the top of this video, it had my favorite fanboy moment in it, the one that I even talked about in last week's review.
Oh yes, this is the big. So let's just remind everyone in the audience that Michael has had me reading some of these comic books, and well, not some, many of them.
Like, not against your will. I mean,
sorry, no.
Just this isn't a blink twice if you're okay type of stuff.
But. And I'll let you say what your favorite one, because you listed it twice. I don't know if you know that you listed it twice, but you listed it twice on the list that I should read. But you have to.
The name of the story
yes.
is Mogo Doesn't Socialize. And it's back when they used to do a series of backup Tales of the Green Lantern Corps short stories inside the Green Lantern comic book where they sort of explored the Corps and all the cool alien natures. It was one of my favorites. And
it is great.
The fact that it was Hal Jordan's password to get into the Tesseract where he kept the battery, I just
wait, but explain that a little bit more. So John Stewart had to open the
just call it a container.
The container. And so he had to put Hal Jordan on speaker so that Hal Jordan, because it was only Hal Jordan's voice that the case would respond to.
It was a case of the pocket dimension, so it may not technically be a Tesseract, but I'm calling it a Tesseract. And because he has to feel around for it to find the actual lantern. But the code to open it up, the voice code, is Mogo Doesn't Socialize, which again, see, this is the sort of fanboy that I am. Green Lantern 188. From 1985 was that story. Later on, they made Mogo in the 2000s. They made him like a fully functioning member of the Corps and all sorts of cool stuff. But Mogo Doesn't Socialize. Even if you know the punchline to it, go out and read the story. Find it one of the reprints. Get it online. Whatever. Read that story. So as far as I'm concerned, the series can end now. This reference Mogo. We don't need to watch any more of it. Okay, I'll tell you what.
That's not true.
I'll give it 6 more episodes. Then we'll see how I feel about it.
Because there are only 8 episodes. Yes.
My logic still holds. But anyway, so that, so the Mogo Doesn't Socialize, I loved that. That was great. Earl, Hal Jordan in the comics did have a pet plant for a while in like the early 80s, like 70 something, back when he was a truck driver. Don't ask. Hal did a lot of weird stuff when the writers couldn't relate to him. But that was sort of interesting to kind of move on from that. I'm trying to think. I think this is a good stuff. We've covered most of what I wanted to talk about going forward. I am no longer sure entirely where this is headed. I did a short talking about the Blue Bosses a week or so back where I speculated maybe being seen to see a storyline where the Controllers and the Guardians are sort of at odds. I'm less confident in that being our storyline in this case. Definitely a Manhunter type of thing. I think there's definitely going to try to explore it. There's a whole other dimension because of how this particular episode ended. And did you want to talk about that?
I was surprised that I recognized Sinestro. Because I know that was a big thing for me. And I haven't even gotten through all the Sinestro Corps Wars. I'm trying, with the time that I have.
Well, you have a job and a life?
I know, heaven forbid, right?
All I have to say is there's never a bad time to pick up comics as a hobby. She's proof of that.
But I will say, I think and I don't know what the climax is. I think the climax to this show is going to be dramatic. I think they're doing a slow burn. I know a lot of people didn't like the first episode because they said it didn't have too much of the Ring mythology in it. The second episode definitely brought in that mythology. I am wondering if they bring in even more of the war set. I mean, something is going to happen on that ranch. There just is.
Well, yeah, because in the flash forward, we saw it basically, at least the front gate and everything had been pretty much wrecked.
Right.
So, yeah.
So I think there's a lot more that's going to happen. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited to see it.
Gotcha. So just before we wrap up, I want to go back to a theory that you talked about again in our previous review episode. That was Ray, our culture critic, making an audio cameo.
The shaking that you heard, yes.
You had a theory, and I want you to go into it more, that Hal Jordan was actually dead. We don't mean dead at the end of the episode, who's obviously that, but is dead the entirety of episode 1, at least of the 2016 portion. Do you still feel strongly about that? Do you think it's modified at all? What is your take on that?
I don't feel as strongly about it this time, although one of the things that you and I were discussing when we were watching the show is that until he puts on the Green Lantern uniform, his clothes never change. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's because he's living at the motel and just never bought clothes. That's why I'm still suspicious of whether or not he's alive. I'm still not at the point where I think he's an hallucination. I know a lot of people do think that as well. And you did see a hallucination in the first episode.
When you say hallucination, you mean a projection of the ring.
Oh, sorry, yes, a projection of the ring.
So it's not saying that John is hallucinating, because people are interacting with him.
Right, right.
But your stipulation is that he's actually dead, and what we're seeing is actually a projection of the ring.
So that's where I'm still uncertain.
Okay.
I'm willing to be proven wrong, but that's given the way that they've dressed him and his clothes never change. Because John Stewart's clothes change.
Mm-hmm. True. Which is, you pointed out, that's a fascinating comparison. Now, the one thing, if I was trying to pick a hole in that, I'd say, but then how was he able to drag the bodies through the alien detector? Right. However, it could be, there is such a thing in science fiction as a hard light hologram, which means you're able to touch and interact with physical matter. So, to your theory, if it's accurate, maybe he's a hard light hologram, that's why he's able to carry the bodies back and forth.
Which I have to say, so when we were watching this, and before you figured out that the real point of what you would call a metal detector was really an alien detector, I kept poking Michael and saying, see, he's not alive. He doesn't set off the metal detectors. Well, because clearly it wasn't a metal detector, it was an alien detector, which you learn later in the episode.
Yeah, but you were looking for proof, and the proof, I think...
That's a whole... sometimes when you look for proof, just acknowledge when you didn't find it.
Mm-hmm. But it worked well. Yeah. But I think, in all, did you enjoy the episode?
Yes. And I know we're only 2 episodes in. We still have 6 more. But I'm finding it fun. I will say, I'm always honest about the research I'm doing behind the scenes. I'm not entirely caught up. I am not someone... No, he laughs because he gave me a whole checklist, and I'm not through the whole checklist.
Well, so also, sorry, for the sake of people who are tuning in just sort of to watch these reviews, our key things on the channel are we do a series of videos where we break down how do you get into various characters that are 60, 50, 70 years old, all this continuity. And we're working on one about the Green Lantern Corps. That's why I've been reading this stuff. Yes. And so that will be coming out actually later on. This is about Lanterns, the episode specifically.
Yes.
But you're researching that stuff.
Well, but the background reading also helps with... That's how I knew who Sinestro was. So that was...
Which works well. I love that. Yes. The one thing that for some reason, I don't know why this bugged me, the one thing that really did bug me about this episode was the design of the lantern. I mean, it was fine.
Oh, that did, yes.
It was decent.
I
mean, I can't tell you why I didn't like it. And because, again, comics.
But you said it was Alan Scott.
Well, around a little bit of the Alan Scott version, that is true, which is the Golden Age one. But sometimes different people have different styles of lanterns, this and that. And it may have just been a fairly practical one. This is the easiest one to make on a practical level. Because it wasn't as big as some of the lanterns are in the comics either.
You're worried about
but
size.
But it really... Well, no, because, in terms of, if you're going to haul this thing around... Because remember, in comics, whatever, you pick up something, this thing is 30 feet across, but it only weighs 5 pounds. I can pick it up. When you're shooting a TV show, you actually have a few more physics to kind of get into that. But for no reason I can explain, the design of the lantern bugged me. But otherwise, I thought it was kind of neat. I think it's kind of cool. Really glad that the suits are not CGI, which if you ever see the 2011 version with Ryan Reynolds, you'll understand why I say that. But I enjoyed it more than I thought it would, actually. I feel like they're giving us enough reveal and still teasing enough mystery. What frustrates me is when there's nothing but mystery with no reveal. But I feel like they're giving us some possibilities, and I really like that.
Well, I think they're making an honest nod to the comic books. They're taking the comic books seriously. I think when you place comic book characters in a real what we would consider as a real world situation, then you think, oh, well, people are going to think they're strange, right? Meaning people in the quote real world. But everyone who is at this point that we know human, because we're not so sure that they're all human, but they don't view the Green Lantern as an abnormality. They view, honestly, it's why I enjoyed the discussion of jurisdiction. The sheriff understands that the Green Lantern has a job. His job is to patrol aliens. Her job is to patrol the town and what humans do. Mm-hmm. But now they're butting heads. But there's no sense of, oh gosh, you're so weird. You're a Green Lantern. Why are you here? So I think they're taking it seriously.
Right. I love the fact that she's a couple steps ahead of him.
Yes.
So, any closing thoughts?
No, I would just say let's keep watching. We'll see what happens. I could be totally wrong about everything, which is fine.
Same thing. So we will be watching Life moving forward. I hope you like this. And also, we put out a couple of shorts as well, talking about individual throwaway lines, like about big blue bosses, and even one about Mogo doesn't socialize. So feel free to check those out as well. In the meantime, I am Michael Allen Lake.
And I'm Mairead Blue.
We want to thank you for joining us. And also just take a quick moment to say that hopefully you're not dealing with an alien invasion in the middle of Nebraska, but even sometimes normal life can feel that intense and that crazy. Make sure to take a moment for yourself. Life can get loud. Life can get really sort of intense. Remember that you are here. You matter. Take a moment and breathe. And remember that you yourself are a legend in your own way.